if you make a mistake and you say, I'm a screwed up loser, you're going to end up with a very different result than the woman who said, crap, that didn't work. So I'm going to pivot and now try this. At least I tried.
Hmm.
Those two women get very different outcomes, but they both made the mistake, you know?
Yeah, it really is what we say to ourselves.
Your self-talk is everything. I mean, do you find that even now for yourself, Olivia?
Yeah, I
Like
think
how you
so.
talk to yourself?
I think that that's like the whole idea in my generation of manifestation almost. And it's kind of funny how, we use the same overall message just packaged in different wording that makes it more
Yeah.
attractive to people my age. But like, yeah, you keep saying it until one day it happens, or you keep writing it down into your journal until one day it happens.
Hmm.
So I think so.
Yeah.
Welcome to Her Unshakeable Confidence. I'm Simone Knego.
And I'm Olivia Knego.
You almost forgot. Did you
No, I
forget who you
didn't.
were? Okay,
No,
okay, okay,
no.
okay. Just checking. Thank you for joining us today. What if midlife wasn't the beginning of the end, but the start of your greatest transformation? Today's guest believes exactly that. Tami Jorden is a certified death doula, a co founder of the Legacy 22 Women's Circle, and the creator of the Chrysalis Advantage, a 5-stage method designed to help women move through midlife with clarity, courage, and purpose. She guides women who feel like they're fading into a powerful new flow, a season of becoming rather than shrinking. Tami, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi. Thanks for having me, you guys. What an honor.
Yeah, we're excited. So there's a lot wrapped up right in there, right? I mean, I was like, death doula, and then moving forward at midlife. Like there's
Yeah.
quite a few things. But let's start with the Chrysalis Advantage. How did you come up with that? And if you could do a quick walkthrough through the 5 stages.
Well, the Chrysalis Advantage is actually it, it's still in development, but essentially, what I believe that there's like six different components that can make midlife something that's really powerful and beautiful, because most of us come from a being socialized to be good girls and to do things the way that other people are pleased with us. And maybe not so much in your generation, Olivia, but
Mm.
certainly in ours, that was, far more prevalent. And so I think we were never ever given a roadmap for this part of our lives.
Mm.
We Gen X, or Gen Jones, which means Gen Jones begins about 1960, because from 60 to 65 it's hotly argued that that is not boomer, that's actually more like Gen X, so they got named Gen Jones. So people
Mm.
born after 1960, most of us began to have mothers who worked. Previous to this, the earlier generations, your mom working outside the home was a rarity. What that meant was you grew up with different expectations for what midlife would be, and the whole understanding that women are over after 50. um yeah, not good. And so what happens is that leaves most of us kind of without a map or without any great role models for how to do this. And so when I hit 50, I was sort of like, now what? And you're sort of coming up to when you're supposed to be over, as if women have an expiration date. Super irritating line. But so when I hit 50, it was terrifying, because I thought, what am I going to do now? But Olivia, this is the best part: when it all hits, your hormones will go south, and your physical body just begins to change, and it does so many things. It's not just the body,
Your
but it's the
hair
brain. That's
falls out.
Your hair falls out. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's no
gosh.
bueno. It's no fun on certain levels. But the odd thing is, at the exact point that your body starts to do this, something inside you starts to slowly do this.
Mm.
And you begin to have what you guys talk about. You begin to have a confidence in the world and in yourself that perhaps you didn't have earlier. And so my thought is that at that point, if you begin to sort of lean into six different things, you develop self-confidence. And what that means is, just think about high school and junior high, and then Simone, like the moms at the elementary school thing. It's always women, because we're communal, there's a lot of peer pressure on how you should do something. They're the nursing Nazis if you don't nurse, when you have your baby this way. There's just a lot of shoulds that have happened. And if you take your confidence, which is what a lot of us did probably up to 40, 50, if you take your confidence from external signals, you're not going to have a very comfortable, fulfilling midlife. You have to learn to take the external locus of judgment and put it inside you. And then you decide what's right for you. And that's really important, because a lot of us with careers, with motherhood, with a lot of things, we live the way everybody told us was right. And this is a point where we begin to say, no. First of all, got a little more money, got a little more time, a little more smarts. We have earned wisdom. And we can begin to do this different. And we can come up with some really cool, awesome ideas for how we go forward. So we need to have self-confidence. We need to begin to think courageously. And what's courageous? It's to see the truth and to admit it up front, not to run from it, sugarcoat it, whatever. Begin to look at the truth. It sets you free in the end. So courageousness, then, and everybody can do it different, but I argue some form of spiritual connection, whether that's nature for you, whether it's your faith, a spiritual practice, yoga, whatever, some connection with the understanding that your life has meaning and purpose, and that you're connected to something larger as you define it. And then, so line yourself up, and then external service. Now that you know what you know after 50 years, what are you bringing to the table? You can do it in volunteer, you could do it entrepreneurially, you can do it whatever moves you, but you can now be really creative, because in most cases, women don't have to struggle to put food on the table or take care of young children as they did earlier in life. So there's really a wide open opportunity here to do more when you combo platter your experience and
Combo
what
platter.
you know.
I love that.
Yeah. And then beyond that, I encourage you to consider community. We are social beings. Even if you're introverted and shy, we need people. And some of the data coming out of the Harvard's project, it's an 80-year project that looks at mental health, and they're in the second generation of people who are participating, because an 80-year project, some of those people aren't here anymore, right? And what it learned is that your mental health is as important as your physical health. So working out and having friendships are the same by midlife. They have the same importance and greatly impact quality of life. Big deal. So what I like to encourage people is, you can't make new old friendships. You need to think now, who do I invest in and who matters? Who's on my team? And edit. We can let go of maybe some of the extraneous stuff that we needed earlier, and we can begin to say who matters and how will I invest in them? Because the longer you live, the more you're going to need your people, and the more they're going to need you. It's not a one-way street, it's reciprocal. And then from community, the last pillar is legacy. You are going to leave an imprint, at least on the people who know you when you leave. As a death doula, I can tell you that for sure. And the time to think about it is not at the end. Thinking about who I want to be known as and how I want to show up. If you think about it now, then you front load it and you end up leaving who you wanted to be. And it's not necessarily could be an accomplishment, but it might be, I want to be kind. I want to be unconditionally loving. And then choosing to show up that, earlier. So I've talked a lot, but those are the general principles.
When I hear that, I think we should be doing this from the beginning, right? I mean, we think about, yes, midlife, but this is stuff for Liv now to say, okay, how can I live my life this way from the beginning, not worrying about what anybody else is thinking, not comparing myself to others, right? Really focusing on how I want to show up in the world. So I feel that, yes, it's great at midlife, but I feel like, what can the younger generation take away from this now, so that when they get to our age, they're still raring to go. There's no like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what am I going to do with my life? Because I know a lot of women feel, the women that have children, when their kids go off to college, uh, I don't know. I don't know what to do with myself now, right? And that's why I started working before they went off to college. And people were like, why aren't you just spending time at home? Okay, because I want to make sure with 6 kids, I want to make sure when they're off that I have something to do for myself, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm happy I did it that way.
I love that. And it is important that you have an off ramp, whatever age your kids are. Because, I mean, Olivia, the thing is, when you have kids, if you should you decide to have children, um, it's this beautiful, amazing part of your life, but it's a part. There's that day when it dawns on you that all of the wonderful things. I have a couple of daughters, and I think about all the memories, and I always saw them from my perspective.
Mm,
Their perspective is only ever going to be little kids looking back. And there are so many things, because I'm grown up, that I can remember about them that add up my picture of who they are, that they just don't have going the other way. We're raising these kids to leave, to fly with their own wings. And that means we have to have the courage to then do that and then go on and do something else. And it's hard because when you parent, you're all hands on deck for so long.
yeah, I was thinking a lot of times we had people ask us, like, why would you take all of your kids on a vacation to Europe? Like, it just seems like a waste of money. They're never going to remember it. I said, it's not for them. It's for me. I'll remember it. Right. That's the whole thing. And yeah, they see things completely differently. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, and they're never gonna think of it in the way that you did. But I think that's also representative that it is a transitional motherhood. Early mothering is a transitional phase. And so many of us kind of went into it thinking, this is it, this is gonna fulfill me. And it does, but it's only one piece of an entire puzzle of you. And you don't your 20s matter, your 30s matter, your 40s matter. Everything that you're going through is adding up to what you're going to need for later. And every stage, accomplishing it and having confidence and figuring it out is important. But all your mistakes are going to be where you learn a lot more. That's the secret after 50. And the other secret is, for most of us, we figured out how to stop feeling embarrassed or ashamed about that.
Mm.
Because often the story that you tell yourself about what happened is the key. If you
right.
make a mistake and you say, I'm a screwed up loser, you're going to end up with a very different result than the woman who said, crap, that didn't work. So I'm going to pivot and now try this. At least I tried.
Mm-hmm.
Those two women get very different outcomes, but they both made the mistake.
Yeah, it really is what we say to ourselves.
Hmm. Your self talk is everything. I mean, do you find that even now for yourself, Olivia?
Yeah, I
Like
think
how you
so.
talk to yourself?
I think that that's like the whole idea in my generation of manifestation almost.
Hmm.
And it gets kind of funny how, we use the same overall message just packaged in different wording that makes it more
Yeah.
attractive to people my age. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, you keep saying it until one day it happens, or you keep writing it down into your journal until one day it happens.
Hmm.
So I think so.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to perseverance, and there's a lot to using. There's something that I do that I was just talking with somebody the other day, and I realized a handful of people do this, and it's really powerful. I believe that whatever happens to you, I don't believe God makes things happen to you to make you
Hmm.
stronger. I don't hold that. But I do believe that every single thing that happens to you at some point can turn into a jewel in your hand, something that's
Mm.
valuable, that's usable. So no matter what's happened to me, I've always said, okay, what's the lesson here? What can I see? What can I get? But the kind of cool thing, Liv, that I think you're going to find is that when you look at what happened and what you learned at 20 will be one thing, and at 30 it will be another, and at 40 it will be another. And that's a very good thing because it means you're growing and you're being able
Mm.
to go deeper on what you get. But just setting yourself up for success from the beginning by saying, okay, this didn't work. It went sideways, didn't happen as I expected. But what's the lesson here so that whatever I come up against next, I get a better result? Because that's what you're looking for. You're looking for, to get yourself to a better result. But the other piece of that is serendipity. Sometimes not getting what you thought you wanted is the most beautiful gift of all,
Okay.
you know, because you thought, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to manifest this. I'm going to manifest that. And my experiences, that's awesome. And you should totally do that. But always keep that little, my prayer is this or something better. Because what if there's something better for you
Mm.
and you're so focused on, I just know. Well, I find at 60 that I don't always know the exact best thing, but somebody looking out for me does. So if I say, I want this and I'm going to work to achieve this, and it all just starts going sideways, sometimes I'm just like, okay, what am I not seeing here? And that leaves room for serendipity to bring in something better.
I like the jewel in the hand thing too. I mean, I
Hmm.
say the everything happens for a reason, and I know some people
Hmm.
hate that statement because, sometimes you don't know for a long time what the reason
For a
is.
long
But,
time.
I like the jewel in the hand a little bit better. I think people will buy into that a little bit more than just the everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. Well, I just keep it. And I think, to me, I think we take those jewels and we put them in our backpack. And later we're going to need them on the trail, right? I think that's how you build wisdom. Wisdom has sort of been, I talk a lot about, this should be of interest to you, Olivia. We are the first society, maybe in the history of the world. I would be interested to know how close we are to being the first on this, but we do not value our elders and have a wisdom tradition that
Mm.
supports that.
Yeah.
Globally, across cultures, centuries, people respect elders as having wisdom. Here, the top priorities are youth, sexuality, and money. I would say riches in some manner. And the sad thing is, it sort of spiritually strips us of any really amazing value because people get to my age and like Simone and I, we're like, oh, but do I really look that old? Because we were socialized that old is bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in so many
Old's not
cultures,
bad.
it's the other case where, yeah, I think Americans in general, it's interesting to like hear it said to me because I definitely do have this like sentiment. I mean, even towards just like people in power. Like, why is someone
Hmm.
that's old and that doesn't even represent my point of views making decisions on my behalf? But it's interesting to hear it from the other way around. Like, stop. Like, it's almost like my generation is feeding into this sentiment as well, kind of
Yeah, from a
by,
different direction. Yeah.
yeah. And it's not like it gives me a lot to think about because it's not intentional on my part. Like, obviously, I think there's so much to learn from the people that are older than you that have gone through everything. I mean, there's so much I could learn from even my grandma. I've learned so much from her, but also there is a part of me that's like, oh, like, but she's just an old lady rather than
Hmm.
Yeah.
like she's gone
Yeah.
through this whole life. She's raised two kids while working and then she had eight grandkids. And, like that's incredible in itself. And on top of that, she's done so many amazing things with her career. But part of me is to like, oh, she's just another grandma.
Yeah.
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 And we
We were
stop
all
asking the
21, so.
questions. Yeah, I know. We were all kids, we were
Yes.
all teenagers, and we stop asking the questions because I think there is that mindset around the age part. Like, it's the young people that know all the things now, right? They
Yeah.
know everything to do with
How is that
electronics
even?
and it's
How,
crazy,
yeah,
right?
the electronics, yes, 120%. You guys rock it, and it's so mean. But, but, but how on earth does it even make sense that someone who has either not or barely paid their bills understands clearly how the world works? Because you kind of listen. I will tell you this. When I was in my 30s and I had girlfriends, there were things like someone did something, you were like, oh my gosh, she did that or that happened to her or whatever. But you get over 50 and we have all been around the block. We have all failed ourselves or done stuff that we look back and go, I would die in a pile if people knew that I ever pulled that kind of stuff in my life,
Mm-hmm.
or I made that mistake. So once that happens, it begin to structure within you some humility and some deeper empathy. And you can sit in a room now with women over 50 and they will tell you some stories. And generally, the closer you get to 60 and beyond, with less and less shame, because we really begin to let go of some of that just sure about the worldness that happens when you're younger. You begin to understand that it's bigger than you are and that there are lots more moving pieces going on here and components, and it aging is important. All the things that you go through. I mean, Olivia, don't you hope to be at 50, 60, 70? Don't you hope to be smarter, kinder, stronger, better than you are now? I mean, isn't
Yeah,
your goal
I
to,
hope.
yeah, yeah. But so did we. And we were also once 20. And so does the 80-year-old woman that you're looking at. Sometimes I don't know why we don't teach our young people to look at older people and to at least entertain the notion they have some idea what it's like to be 23, you
Yeah,
know?
it's such a weird, and I've never even. This is like a completely like mind shifting conversation for me because I really have not considered like my own bias on this subject from the other point of view,
Hmm.
and there is kind of like this resurgence of like grandma knowledge though in my generation. It's like we were on a podcast yesterday talking about how I love to crochet and how people my age are crocheting. There's a girl who sits in my law
Totally.
class and she knits in during
Yeah,
class. And
I
like the
love that.
COVID hobbies were baking and gardening and cooking. And it's like we would all be better at things if we just like sat down with the people that, were doing this.
Yeah. With a little domesticity. Yeah, and creativity for sure. And I just lost what I was going to say. Welcome to when you lose your hormones, you also lose your memory. There it went.
But I
No,
think it
I
comes back
love
to
what you're saying.
labels. Yeah, and I think it comes back to labels. We have
Yeah.
this idea that, you know, crocheting is for old people, that,
Mm-hmm.
old people don't really think. They just, they this is what their routine is.
They
They get up,
order.
they
Yeah.
eat,
Yeah.
they
They
go
drive
and
slow.
right, right. Like so we have all these misconceptions of
Yeah.
what is really happening. And if you start asking questions, good questions, then
Oh,
the
the
amount of
mother load.
information you can learn is truly unbelievable.
And I would
So,
also
and
Yeah.
say on that part, like, I don't know if other people my age feel this, but like, I do feel a fear of aging because of this
Hmm.
conception that we have. Like, at one
That it's
point you
bad.
peak and then it goes downhill. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, life's going to be good. And then at some point I'm going to peak and go downhill. Like, that's not
Hmm.
true. That's,
No, it is not
I
true.
don't think that's
Women
true
do
at
not have
all.
expiration dates.
I
It's
don't think
not
I've hit
true.
my peak. I mean,
I
yes,
don't
like
think you've
my
hit your
I think
body
peak.
I
things are,
haven't.
yeah. What'd you say, Liv?
I don't think you've hit your peak.
Yeah, I don't think I've hit my peak. I mean, trust me, in terms of bodily stuff, yes. I mean, things fall apart a little bit, but those aren't so important anymore. I mean, that sounds
No,
ridiculous, but I'm not
it's
out
true.
there like in my 20s and 30s. I was so focused on being in great shape, not because I thought that was the healthy thing to do, because it was the physical appearance thing that I wanted. Now my goal is to just be not just, but to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not so worried about going out and running a marathon. That's not what I want to do because I know my body. I know that every time I push it too much, something falls apart. So you have that wisdom as you get older of what really works for you. And I think that
Yeah.
a lot of times we take that for granted and just say, oh, we're getting old. But instead, it's just a different period of time. And I know for me, in terms of confidence, I've never been more confident because I am so comfortable in my skin. Like so I had shoulder surgery. Now it's been 8 weeks. And I was probably up like 10 pounds between going to France and eating every croissant in sight and then really being immobile for almost 8 weeks, that I Yeah, I put on weight. And in the past, I would have been like so hard on myself. And I'm like, well, that was a fun 8 weeks. Okay, now, just
Yeah.
start walking more, just start moving more, and you'll be fine. And I've already, dropped some weight. And I, so the outward appearance doesn't affect me anymore. That's really what
Right. It's not
I'm
the
not looking
motivator.
at that. Yeah, it's just like, I want to be healthy. I want to be able to do fun and exciting
When do
things.
you
And I,
think you felt that shift, though, when appearance wasn't controlling? Because I think, I mean, I'm sure your daughters feel the same way. Appearance is like probably education appearance for me. Like,
Mhm.
it's so closely bound.
too late,
Mhm.
I'll tell you. I mean, for me,
Too
too
late.
late. Yeah, I think I focus so much, but because the people that I surrounded myself with, that was their focus too, right? And so I think that's a big part of it. But you also have to look yourself in the mirror and say, I look great as I am, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
and you have to really say it to yourself on a regular basis so that you believe it. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I mean, I imagine Jack says to you, you are beautiful,
Oh,
right?
every
So
day, multiple
yeah.
times a
Mhm.
day. He's very trained.
So yeah, very good. So why
Good
would
job.
you, yeah, I mean, you need to be saying that to yourself as well because
Yeah.
nothing else matters. I mean, none of it matters. And
No.
you have
But
to be
don't you
happy.
think But don't you think falling hormones was helpful in that regard? In that you, and I always wonder, is the whole beauty thing an evolutionary twist on the deal that maybe we have the hormones to value looking good so we can get a mate, so we can reproduce?
Mm,
Like, there's probably some level of that at play on top, like undergirding a society, a culture, an advertising culture that said
Mm-hmm.
beautiful women are this big at our age. We brought bulimia into the discussion,
right.
and body dysmorphia, they call it now, anorexia, bulimia. It started pretty much with our generation because we were marketed and sold shiny, glossy, perfect figured, skinny girls and told that's what's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
And
in
it,
so many ancient societies, it was the opposite, right? If
yeah, yeah,
it's, you see the voluptuous women in paintings and that was what was desired. But then we had
yeah,
this shift to say, oh, if you're not this skinny, right? It was really
right.
in the I don't know when modeling started, but like when runway models really became the thing. I mean,
Supermodels, yeah,
they were
yeah,
all super skinny, not healthy skinny, just super skinny. I think that's changed a bit. Like a lot of the models I see are, and the fact that they have, I mean, I don't know why they have to call it this plus size models. Come on, really?
yeah,
Just
That's a thing in
voluptuous
itself
models.
that
Right.
bothers me. I was
Right.
thinking about that. Like, if I was to go, I would not go into modeling. Well, I don't know. I would never say never to anything. But
Uh,
the fact, like, you would just get labeled a plus size model. Like, that, you just are another model.
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah. And because that in itself, I think is
It's
degrading
demeaning.
to
Yeah.
say like
yeah, yeah. Well,
she's
I
a
mean, you
model.
need
I
to
mean,
just from a marketing perspective, you probably need to have a category to know, okay, if you're looking for a particular thing, you need to be able to find it and
Yeah.
see it. But
right.
but I think you're right to differentiate, not so good. And then we're also dealing with, do you know the worst sin? I swear to you, sometimes at a certain point seemed like it was to have wrinkles. Like
Mm,
that was the
Yeah.
worst. And yet it's so against nature. Like this, why are we holding women to the standard of youthful? Only the young are beautiful. They are beautiful. Okay, that's great. But there's so many ways to be beautiful, and I think that's better expressed. Um, now if you flip through a Vogue, you're definitely seeing a wider range of
mm,
what beautiful is. But often it's still young only. And I think what a shame because that means the focus is strictly on the external. And that's not the best of you. Your outsides will never be the best of you, or they shouldn't be the best of you, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
You know?
I
Yeah.
love that. I mean, think of Helen Mirren, the
Isn't
actress. I
she
mean,
fabulous? Yeah.
she's gorgeous, and yeah, she's
Yeah.
got
Kristen
her
Scott. Yeah,
her
there are a
life
lot of
wrinkles, and that's great, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And she's a total, I was going to say, can I say
yeah,
badass
oh
on the
yeah, of
Yeah. Oh
course,
podcast?
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, she is a total
She is.
badass.
She is. You know, though, when I think about this, Olivia, I think one of the things I want most for, because you're Gen Z, is this correct?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that I want most for Gen Z, because my girls are too, is for them to begin questioning the narrative that they were handed,
Hmm.
that aging is bad if it's you're going to be over the hill. What does anybody who's old know about anything? Listen, y'all have a dog in this fight, because guess what? You are going to, if you're lucky, you're going to hit the age that we are now. And it will be too late, because you know what I mean? If you don't turn the narrative that we need to be open, when you get here, the door will be shut.
Mm.
We're trying to open the door now, but I think also we want to encourage Gen X. We have to begin to speak out against a narrative that says that your age is bad at a certain point, that no longer having youth and beauty suddenly takes your value from society, because it's not true. And you don't want to be locked into the crap that we're dealing with because your society tells you this. You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
I think that I truly think that women get more beautiful as they age. I mean,
100.
and part of that is the confidence piece that comes along with it, right? You feel more comfortable in your skin. I mean, that's an overgeneralization, but I definitely see it that way. And
Hmm.
you stop trying to, you stop pretending, you stop trying to be the other people out there, right? You stop
Yeah.
really comparing
Yeah.
yourself to others. So I think there's so many positive things about aging, but what the younger generation sees is, oh, the hot flashes and the,
Yeah. Because that's what
and
we talk
all the
about. Yeah.
plastic surgery and all, they see all of that stuff and think, oh my gosh, I don't want to get old. That's scary.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not
which
scary.
fair, whatever. But I think the antidote to this is going to be encouraging Gen X and Gen Jones and late boomer women to bring their A game in coming up with cool ways that they serve and contribute in society at this point. Because one of the things that's never, I mean, people always say, well, what are you going to do? Girl, there are so many cool, creative ways that you could use your gifts, talents, and abilities to serve. From working in a soup kitchen to giving a ride to the lady down the street because she's homebound and you could take her to the doctor. Like
Also,
painting.
being a
Oh, go ahead.
mentor for someone my age.
Being a
I
mentor.
love
Yeah.
when people at your age be like, "Oh, this is my mentor," or like my mentor one time
Hmm.
told me, "I don't have that."
Oh,
And that's like
oh.
something I very actively would want, whether it's like career or otherwise. Like,
Well, you can have more than one. You can start with career because at your age, right? But it is really wise to find, who is it? I think it's Rachel Hollis who talks about, try to find people who are further on the path than you are to make
mm-hmm.
friends with, because that gives you the heads up. There's a great wisdom in that.
I like that. My best friend in law school is 26, so I'm going to tell her that today.
There you go. Tell her she's moving into mentor territory.
Yeah, yeah. And it goes both ways, though. I think that, yes, it's great to have a mentor who is older than you, but I feel like in that situation, I think that the mentor actually will take a lot away from the mentee. So I've seen this
Yes.
um, actually, I just spoke at this event and it was a women's basically mentoring circle, and across the board
Hmm.
it was all different ages, from in their 20s to in their 70s, and
Hmm.
they all said that they learned so much from each other, both directions,
Hmm.
right, whether they were the
Yeah.
mentor or not. And that's why I think that relationship is such a positive one across the board.
Yeah, it's mutually edifying. Both pieces get it. One thing that really informs me in the way that I see the world and the way that I'm navigating this chapter is, it comes from being a doula and being with people at end of life and seeing what people say that they value or they regret or they wish. Because you may have noticed this, but currently on Earth, there's 100% mortality rate.
Mm.
Arguably, a couple people may have beat it. That's a separate debate. But you will leave this earth one day. The breath that you came in on, you will give back. And hopefully you'll keep going, right? But you will end. And knowing that, there's a Latin phrase, memento mori. And memento mori can be an art phrase or it's a philosophical understanding. Literally, it means remember you die or remember you are mortal. And in remembering that you are not always going to be here, you create a container in which you say, wait, then what do I want to do with my one wild life?
Mm.
What do I want to do? And it's funny because facing that you die actually buys you courage now to do some things so that you don't leave without having fully expressed the beauty of who you are, you know?
Yeah, I really want to talk about you being a certified death doula because I don't know enough about it to begin with, but also really how does that I imagine it has to affect how you work with women in midlife
Yeah.
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
you see like okay, we're mortal, we're eventually going to die, and
We
so
just will. Yeah.
how do we convince women especially to say okay, you got to live your best life, like keep going, don't yeah now don't shut down.
Yeah. I mean, this may be the best health you ever have. This may be the best, smartest you're ever going to be. Move, move. I have a girlfriend who always told me that spirit meets you at the point of action, and you can name it how you want, but it means that you need to take the step to get the next one to appear. Kind of like Indiana Jones in the third movie when he's going to
Mm.
get across the chasm in the cave to the Holy Grail. He has to step, and then it appears, right? You have
Mm,
to step into the
right.
chasm and then it comes. And that whole understanding that if we're going to end up laying on a bed at the end and getting ready to give our breath back, who do you want to be? And what do you want to have done? And once you have a sense of that, you backfill it to now because it's too late to lay there then. It's too late. You already are who you are, right? Now is our moment to become the things that we want to be, to do what we want to do.
And Liv, you have
And
so much time.
I know you have so much time, which is nice because then it stretches out and you're able to do a lot of things. But the thing is, eh, I find that people generally regret what they didn't do more than what they did.
Mm.
Sometimes you regret what you did, but more often than that, I think a lot of times people talk about the worst thing is to die. But as a death doula, my perspective is the worst thing isn't to die. Those people look pretty good at the very end. Um, the worst thing is to suffer needlessly. And that
Mm.
can be about the dying process, or that can be about you earlier in your life. The worst thing is to suffer needlessly, to not find ways to get past it, you know?
Yeah, I think when we look back and the idea of regret, I don't have regrets for anything that I've ever done. And I don't really have regrets for things that I haven't done yet because I know there's still time.
Hmm.
But for
Hmm.
example, I failed organic chemistry, well, basically twice. So I didn't go to medical school. And I've been asked that question quite a bit. Do you regret that okay, I didn't have control. I did. I could have studied a little harder. But I it wasn't an option.
Mm-mm.
And I can look back and say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that I did that or I can't believe I didn't do that." But I'd prefer to say that wasn't the right thing for me. And I
Yes.
am where I am today because that happened. I would have been completely somewhere different. Would I have had 6 kids? Probably not. I mean, if I would have become a physician, no way, right? So
How would you? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so it's that idea of going left instead of right. And that's why I don't feel like we can look back and feel regret or resentment for things that are in the past because it really has taught us lessons and brought us to where we are today.
Yeah, and in particular, if you keep that mindset that we talked about, that whatever happens for me, I will be my whole thing, especially from my 20s onward, my whole thing was, okay, this terrible thing happened, but I will be gosh danged if I will let that be the only takeaway I get is that this bad thing happened. I
Mm.
will learn something from this and I will beat it by making sure that I don't walk away, that I'll have that jewel in my hand, at least one, by the time I walk away. So my next, the next thing I do, I know better. It's really important to want to be better, no matter what you go through. I think that, if nothing else, sort of quells a lot of the regret, you know?
Yeah, so, it's interesting that you said that you had something before, your 20s and then you were able to move forward. So I had something, in my teens where I had
Hmm.
an abusive boyfriend and I
Right.
didn't move forward from it. I just squashed it down and didn't say, what did I learn from this? I said, don't really, it came from that generation of, you know,
Yes.
don't don't talk about it. That's shameful, right? You sh- like I was the one responsible for
Yeah,
it,
I was
right?
going to
I
say
let
somehow
it
you feel
happen
it's
to
your
me,
fault.
right?
Yes, yes.
And so it took me into my 40s before I really addressed it because you weren't supposed to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's really my goal with my kids is to say anything that happens, you deal with it now, you talk about it, you
Hmm.
say it out loud, and you understand how you can
Name
move
it.
forward from it. Yeah, so that you can learn from it and move forward instead of making you feel guilty or sad your entire life because of
Yeah.
something that happened. And I think that's true for a lot of women in our generation. What if they had something happen at that point of their lives, you weren't talking about things like that, so you did stuff it down and it affects how you're able to thrive later.
100%. It's so not helpful. And hopefully that is something we encourage Gen Z to,
Mm-hmm.
and millennials too, to not stuff down. Same thing. Had an abusive early on relationship. And really just in my 50s did I find the courage to go back and look at it because I just stuffed it down. I did not want to be defined as a victim.
Mm,
And I also self-blamed. I thought I should have done something different. I don't know what, but I should have done something
mm-hmm.
right. You carry all of that. And it, the power of it for me, I wonder if this is similar to you. The power of it was going back and looking at my story about what happened and looking at it with the maturity that I have now. I saw that girl so different. And when I saw her differently, I was able to hold it differently in me and I was able to talk about it. And I do wonder if I would have been more open about it earlier instead of carrying the shame, if it wouldn't have been more helpful. But I do know for sure that looking at the stories that happened to me with the wisdom I have now transforms them. And somehow holding that story differently inside of me, it just gives me more courage and confidence now, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And now that you say that word, what does confidence mean to you?
Confidence. So I was thinking about this. What does, because it can be so broad and yet so specific.
Yeah.
But I think that confidence is the spectrum of self-trust that carries you from daring in moments of uncertainty to that deeper self knowing that you can prevail. So I think it runs from, that the uncertainty point of I'm going to go forward because the only thing I believe in is that I think I can do this, right? Even though I'm very scared of the obstacles, to the other end of the self-confidence spectrum, which is I don't care what comes up. I know I got this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I think it's a spectrum of self-trust.
Yeah. It's the and it, so much of it is the do it anyways, right? It's
Do it
like,
anyways.
yeah, just keep going
Do it
because
do it
yeah,
stupid, whatever you got to
right.
do.
Do it messy,
Why?
do it
Because
scared. Yeah.
it's at the point of action that serendipity is going to meet you, that the manifestation is going to meet you, that the more beautiful revelation of what's possible is going to happen. Sitting and ruminating and thinking about it is going to, it's non-productive.
Yeah. So true.
What's the best advice a woman in your life ever gave you?
Oh my gosh. Holy guacamole. Um, You know, I don't know if it's actually advice, although she probably said words to it, but my mom gave me a really cool example in that my mom has always had what we call in our background a servant's heart. And so my mom always suited up and showed up and helped neighbors, church, the everything, whoever needed help. My mom would think about how she could help and do it. She was, I don't know, somewhere in her 60s at one point. I called her once and she said, she didn't answer. And I'm like, where were you? And she said, oh, I was over mowing the neighbor lady's house. She's in her 60s. It is a hot day. And I said, Mom, why can't she? She goes, well, honey, she's over 80. So my mom showed me that uh, serving others and caring about their experience and not just talking about it, but just coming in and doing something that's helpful has really, really been empowering for me. I've volunteered with a lot of groups. I'm with Houston Hospice right now. No One Dies Alone, Ronald McDonald House, my kids' school. There's just been a lot of things where I thought about what can be even a tiny stupid skill do I have that I could bring, and then just show up and do the work. Don't be that person who skirts when there's actually dishes to be cleaned. Just do it.
Yeah.
I think that was great advice, is be the kind of person who shows up and cares about the greater good.
Yeah, I love that. Liv, bring us your calendar.
Bring us the calendar, baby.
Here's the coaching. Cut it out.
Here's the coaching. Cut it out. That's the message. Cut it out. Yeah, knock it off. Right.
Though, that's my word. I swear to you, that's my word for, that's so weird, Liv. It's like a connection. My word for 2025 is edit. Edit. People that edit people you don't need, edit things you do not have any business still doing for whatever reason, and edit your thoughts, because you don't have to believe every thought you have. Edit. Keep those that serve you.
Control, Alt, Delete, baby. Exactly.
I love that. I love that so much, Simone. You're brilliant for that idea. Control,
Thank you
delete.
Thank you so much. Where can people find you? And we didn't even get to talk about your podcast, so list all the things, and we'll have it in the show notes.
Very good. You can find me currently on Substack at tamijorden.substack.com. That's TamiJorden.substack.com. I have a Substack called Butterfly Days, and I talk lots about important issues that impact Gen X and Boomer women. But also in a couple of weeks, my new podcast, also called Butterfly Days, will kick off, because we are really, menopause is a chrysalis, and we can come out on the other side and still have so much beautiful, amazing, things that we can do and be and experience. You can also find me at TamiJorden.com. That's TamiJorden.com.
Great. Again, we'll have that all in the show notes. And thank you for joining us today, Tami.
Thank you for having me. You guys are lovely. I wish you every good thing, Olivia.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so excited for you. I'm going to keep up with you now that I know that you and my Lily are going the same time. That's awesome.
They're two L in it together.
Two L in it. I love it.
So thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Her Unshakable Confidence. Always remember, you are unshakable.
Bye, guys.
And wait, let me say one more thing.
Oh, sorry.
I got this new thing I got to start saying. Don't forget to like, review, and subscribe. Share it with your friends. And this is a great episode to share. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Her Unshakable Confidence with Simone and Olivia Knego. We hope this episode has made your day just a little bit brighter and given you the inspiration you need to confidently go about your week. Always remember to be authentically you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to connect with them on Instagram at Simone Knego and at Olivia Knego. Till next time.